We are going to look at the CAT, or Computer Application Technology Prac exam from November 2017 for the grade 12s. We're just going to do the Excel and the Access question in this couple of series. Please take note, with this paper, it's the older system or format, so you'll notice that the marks are out of 180, where the newer format's out of 150. So these questions are slightly longer than normal, but that's good because then there's extra questions that we can practice on. So let's look at the Excel and the Access. So we can start off with Excel, and in other videos we'll do the Access ones. Let's go. We're starting with the spreadsheet, and we're opening up 3ACC. Make sure that you open up the correct spreadsheet. So we've got the correct spreadsheet open, and make sure that we work in the correct worksheet. So that's the one we must work in. So make sure that at the bottom, yep, we are clicking on the right one. So make sure that you do that when you are doing your exam paper. So format row 6. So we want to change the height to 45, and we want to wrap the headings in row 6. So let's go do that. So first of all, the wrap's the easy part. So we're going to select all that. That's row 6, correct? So they say row 6, so we can actually just select the whole of the row by clicking on the 6 there. And now you need to wrap them. So you're like, yo, what's up? Like, no, not that type of wrapping. You need to click on that wrap over there. That's the wrap that they want, not some Kendrick Lamar. You need to sit down and be humble when you do this question. So there we go. We're going to wrap it, and then might be tempted to make it a bit bigger. But remember, they said they wanted the height to be 45 points. No, we actually want to specify it. So I'm going to right click on there and see what options arrive. Row height. Let's have a look. We come there. There's for 21. So if I say 45 and click OK, and there we go. There we've got the height done. Question 3.2. Insert a formula in H7 to determine the total number of nights that this person will stay at her accommodation. So H7, so we're going to come all the way down to H7. So there's the block that we want, and we want to determine how many nights. So that's the day that they came in, and that's the day they came out. Obviously, that's the bigger day. So if you want to determine the difference, the number of days between two dates, it's very easy. If you minus two dates, that answer will always be in days. So that minus that will tell you exactly how many days are between the two. You could also use the days function, but just remember, if you minus two dates, it'll give you an answer in days. So if you want that in years, you would have to divide it by 365 to convert that to years. Also, if you add a number onto a date, so if I add 30 onto a date, that adds 30 days to that date. So there we go. That's 3.2. Next, 3.3. Use a lookup or VLOOKUP function in R8 to determine the rate per night for the accommodation booked by this particular person. Use the accommodation information in column D and the lookup table in the other worksheet. Okay, so we need to look at column D for our information. So let's have a look. So we're going to come here to R8. So here we go. So what do we want to do? We want to look up in D. So we're looking up that particular accommodation guest house, and we're going to look it up in the rate tariff. So if we come here, then we're going to go look for that particular, I think it's the rows view, and then we can see what the tariff is for per night. So we want to do it per night, I think is it. That's correct. Double check. So work out the rate per night. Okay, that's great. So we're going to use a VLOOKUP. The steps involved in a VLOOKUP, or any HLOOKUP as well, equals VLOOKUP. Open bracket. The first step is, what are we looking for? We are looking for that value. So always click on what's our lookup value. We are looking for that. So I'm going to click on that. Then I'm going to press a comma, and then I must go get the table. Now it's very tricky when the table is on a different worksheet, but we can do that. So this is the first trick. We're going to click on the worksheet, and we are now going to select the whole table except the headings. Do not do the headings. So we're going to select the table. So I select all of it. There we go, right to the bottom. Now there's a couple steps here that we must be careful of. We want that table to always stay that table if it ever is copied down. So we want to use absolute cell referencing on this particular one. So I'm going to press F4 now while it's selected. And by pressing F4, you would have noticed that the dollar signs have been added for me already. So we know that's great. Then I'm going to press a comma. I'm not going to go back to the accommodation, because if I do, it's going to change this rate and all that to the other one. It's going to mess things up. I'm going to stay here. Just stay here. And we can see already there, it's telling me which column index do we want. Which column of information do we want to get from? This is our table. It's not the name of the column. It's what number the column is. Now, if our table is this block, this is the first column. This is the second column. Where do we want to get the information from? We're looking in the first column, but we want to get the information from the second column. So over here, we will put a 2. So we're looking for D8 in the other sheet. We're going to look in this sheet for that table. Make sure that when we copy it down, it doesn't move down. We want to keep it that particular one, reference it. So that's why we put the dollar signs. And then we want to look at the second column. Now the range lookup, that one is if we want an exact match or an appropriate match. So they didn't specify that, but in this case, because we're dealing with text, I tend to like to make it an exact match. And if it's not alphabetical, then I also like to make it an exact match. I'm going to make it an exact match just for this case because we want to find that exact word and so on. So I think that'll be fine if we do that. So we're looking up D8 in the other sheet. We're looking for this table in this sheet. Make sure that we put the dollar signs there. And then we're looking at the second column. And because it is text, normally when it's text, I like to make it an exact match. And if it's not alphabetical or not in order, from smallest to biggest, then I would put that true. So if it's not in order, I would put it true. So those are my little tips. So if I press enter now, there we go. So we're looking for Rosen Guest House, and the Rosen Guest House is 500. So there we go. So that is correct. The little trick here, that you see all these other values that they're giving us, they're all static, but if we had to copy it down, it should not change those values. Those values should stay the exact same, but now they are formulas. Then that's another way to determine if your formula is correct. If I copied it down, it would work. So that's what a little trick there as well. So that's that question. Let's go to the next one, 3.4. Cell J9 must determine the total amount due for the accommodation, which is given in column H, and the rate in R. So I think that's the number of nights times it by the rate. So if that's how many nights we are, and that's the rate per night, then obviously we multiply them together in J9, and don't forget to change it to currency. So we want that block there, if I'm correct. That is J9. Yeah, this is J9. So J9 or Janine. So we can say equals. We want the R column multiplied by the H column. So that's how many nights. That's the rate per night. So we multiply them together, and that's the value, and we're going to make it into a currency. So you can select over here. Oh, there we go. There it is. There, that's the one I want. Boom. So there it's currency. And just to test, I'm going to drag it down now. Because these aren't formatted, they will change slightly, but the number must at least stay the same. So let's have a look. No, why did it not change? That's undo. The reason why we can't test it, unfortunately, is because we don't actually have the nights per night. So if I copy that down, it should work. So if I copy that down, and then I copy this down, there we go. You can see the numbers did stay correct. Okay, so that's just for me to test to see that my values are correct. So there we go. That's great. Let's do the next question. 3.5. Discounts are awarded based on the star rating of the person in column K and the amount in J. So each star represents 1%. So if it's a 1 star, they get a 1% discount. If it's 4 star, they get a 4 star discount. Insert a function in L10 to determine the amount of discount they will receive. The amount of discount, not the value minus discount, but just the amount. So percentage, we're always taking that number divided by 100, but we need to determine what that 1, 2, 3, or 4 is based on the number of stars. So we're looking at K and J for L. So remember that. So we're looking at K and J. So we're in L and we're looking at the K value and the J value. So that's the amount. So this is 5 stars. So we want to get a 5% discount of that. So let's work out how do we get 5 stars. So how do we work out how many stars there are? To determine how many stars, obviously the length. If it's 2 stars, there's only 2 characters. So therefore we can use the length. Remember the length function tells me how many characters are in that particular string or text. So if I click on that, press that, there we go. I get a 5. Okay, it's already formatted to currency, but that's fine. But it's a 5. That's 5 stars. So if I copy that down, let's see if it works the others. That's a 2 star. That's a 5. So that's working there. So we've got the 5. Now I want to take that 5 and make it into a percentage, which means I'm going to divide it by 100. So now it's a percentage. So that's 5%, and then those would be 2% and 5%. Okay, that's great. It's 5% of the amount in J. Of means times. So 5% times it by the value in J. We got the number of stars divided by 100 by that amount, and that should be the amount in there. So we get 180 Rand discount on that particular amount. That's 5% of that, and if I scroll that down, then those will be the values for the other one. So that's a 2% discount, and that's another 5% discount. Okay, so here we've got 3.6. The 7th character of an identity number, this is a South African identity number, refers to the gender. So there is obviously the year, then it's the month of the birth date, and then the day of the birth date, that's the birth date. And then we've got a 5-digit number, but that first digit there, that 7th digit after the date, that determines the gender. If that gender, I know if it's above 5, greater than or equal to 5 represents a male, but it's less than 5, it's specified as a female. So that's the details for an ID number. We want to, in M7, extract the character representing the gender and, okay, modify the so already the function in M7, so there's already a function there, extracts the character representing the gender. The function currently returns more than one character. Okay, modify the function to correctly extract the character in step 1 and add steps 2 and 3. So we want to extract this 7th character and then use some function to convert it to a number and then determine whether it's a male or female. So we want to display the text male or female based on that. So there is a function or formula there. M7, let's go all the way across. So there's the ID number. So take note, there's the ID number. M7, so there it is. Okay, so that's a bit, that's a bit noisy. Let's have a look. Okay, so we are currently, if you look there, we are looking at the ID number and we want to copy. Remember, the mid function copies from that text starting at that position. There you can see, and that's how many characters. We just want to extract the 7th character. Extract just the 7th character. So we're going to not extract 5 characters, but we want to extract 1 character, please. Thank you. And so it says 2. And in that case, yes, that is a 2 there. After the 18, there's a 2 there. 81, 02, 80, yes, there's a 2. That's great. So we got the 7th character correct. But we must look at that character and we must use a text function to convert this character to a number. Technically, that's text. It's looking at it as text. How do we convert that text into an actual number that we can do calculations on? We're going, in front of this, we're going to put the value function. The value function, if you saw there, converts text into a number. So there we go. I put a value around that mid function. Get the 7th character as a text and then convert that text to a number because we know it's numbers. So that's fine. You'll notice that the 2 now moves to the right-hand side because normally numbers are on the right-hand side and text starts from the left-hand side depending on the alignment. And then if it's 5 or more, it must be male. If it's less than 5, it must be female. So this is female. So we must write a function that determines that. Well, there's 2 things to display. So that means it's a potential if statement. So I'm going to come in front of the value and go, if this value of the 7th character is greater than or equal to 5, that's my question. Is the value greater than 5? If that is true, then we know that it's a male. What do we want to display? We want to display the text male. So text we're going to put in double quotes. Let's put a capital M there, comma. What must we do if it's not greater than or equal to 5? Then obviously it's less than 5, which means it's female. So we're going to put quote female. So I'll use an if statement there. Take that value and do that. So let's press enter. And this one is a female. And the next one I think is male. So let's scroll down. There we go. So we know that it's working. Okay, so let's look. So we extracted the 7th character only, just the 1 character. We converted it from a text into a number. And we asked the question, if that thing that we just extracted is 5 or more, say male. If it's not, make it female. 3.7. Insert a function in G2 to determine the 3rd lowest rate. The 3rd lowest rate. It's not the lowest rate. The lowest would be the minimum rate, but we want the 3rd lowest. So we want not the min, but we want the 3rd min. So that means we must use the small function in G2. So there we go. So we want the small of the minimum rate. So they want the of column R. So let's go look at column R. So the minimum rate, I'm going to drag this all the way to the bottom. Now, when you've got a lot of text like this, take note of what the last one is, 66, because that might make my life a bit easier for the other questions. So small of R7 to 66, R6, close it. Too few still we didn't say which one. Remember, we need to say it's comma the 3rd one. So the 3rd one would be a 3. Don't forget that second argument. With the range, comma, the 2nd one for the 2nd smallest, the 3rd one for the 3rd smallest, the 5th one for the 5th smallest. We want the 3rd one. So there we go. That's the 3rd lowest rate. Okay, next question. Insert a function to determine the most frequently occurring rate. The rate that occurs the most often. Do you know what function that is? That is the mode. So that we can say mode. That's why you need to know your functions. Mode, you can see there if I went down to mode here, if I went down to the function that but returns the most frequently occurring or represented one. So we can say open bracket, and we want the most frequently occurring rate per night, which is the column R column again. So we're going to go from R all the way down. Now, because I know that the last one's 66, I can actually stop there and just change this 13 to a 66. Especially if you've got like a long worksheet that's got like 200 and something. Take note of what the last one is, and then you can just type it in. Then you don't have to keep on scrolling for days. Okay, so let's do that. And there we go. So you can see both those formulas go from R7 to R66. This one is the mode, which is the most. So the 500 is the most common rate amongst all of them. Okay, let's do the last one for this question. Insert a function in G4 to determine the total amount earned. That's column J. So we want to total the column J column by all the country accommodation types, column E. We want to total. We don't want to count. We don't want to find out how many country accommodation types there are. We want to total them, total the amount earned by those. And we're looking for anything that says the word country in it. You see there's country or country house or country in. It's got the word, have to have the word country in it. So in column E. So we're looking at column E and column J. So we are doing the total amount, but it's based on a condition. We're not counting the total number. We take the total amount. So the total number would be like a count if, but we want to say the total earned by them, which means this is a sum if. And sum ifs tend to be 4 marks or more. So yeah, you can see it's already over 4. Count if is normally only 3. So we know it's definitely going to be like a sum if type of thing with a special little thing. I think it's because of the country in the word sum. So let's just try this. So in G4, we want to see what is the total rate. They said column J and E. So we're looking in E for country, and then we must total the J column. So over here, so equal. So first of all, if I did this on paper, I would first have to look here. I'm looking here for the word country, and if I found the word country, then I would come over here to sum the J column. This is my sum column. This is my looking column. Okay, I'm looking for a criteria in this one. Take note of that. So equals sum if. You see there's range, there's criteria, and there's sum range. So this is going to be my sum range. This is going to be the range that I'm looking for, and I'm looking for a particular criteria. I'm going to look in this one first. So I'm going to drag all the way to the bottom here. We know it's number 66. We're going to look from R7 to R66. What are we looking for? We're looking for the word country. So in double quotes, I'm going to put the word country, close double quotes, and then I'm going to put a comma. Where must we sum if we found the word country? I'm going to come here to the J column and do the exact same range. Take note with sum ifs, it must go from 7 to 66, 7 to 66. It must have a matching number, cell for cell, cell for cell. So 7 to 66, 7 to 76, that matches. That's great. Look in the blue column for the word country, and if you find the word country, then move to the red column and add that number together. This is not going to work. It's going to give us a 0. Why, Mr. Long? There are countries there. Yes, because we're looking for the word country, but that is not the word country. That's country with a house. That's country with a house. There's country with an N. We want the word country to be somewhere in it. So that's why we need to use wildcards. Now, if I look here, I don't see any places where the country is at the end. It's always at the beginning. There's only any country house and country in. But just to be sure, they want the word country. So you can put a star after the word country. A star is a wild card. Star means anything. So the word country and then star means and anything else after it. So you could do that. So country, star, means the word country and then there's anything that's after the word country. So if I press enter, there we go. It's totally, it goes there, adds that value. No. There, add that value. That's what it's doing. So it's looking for anything with the word country and then a star at the end. If you were unsure about there being, maybe there's a possibility of there being hostile of country or hostile in country. If that's the case, then you can also put a star in front of the word. So if I look for star, country, star, that means it's looking for the word country somewhere in the text. It doesn't have to start with it. It doesn't have to end with it. It could be that, or it could be in the middle somewhere. If that's the case, then it gives us, it's the same result. So that's fine. So either one could have been fine. So there we go. I think that's done. Don't forget to prepare for your theory exam. Go to our other channel, Mr. Long Computer Terms. You can go to tinyurl.com/Mr. Computer Terms, or you can just click on the channels to see it. And remember, don't do it the long way. Do it the Mr. Long way.